welcome all of you. It's good to see some well-known old friends who I haven't seen for a long time, like Zeru from Asmara, Eritrea. The purpose of today's forum, we thought we decided to just restrict it to decision makers in insurance companies only in Africa, is because we are interested in the sort of opinions and experiences that you can exchange with us and with each other on what you feel is the next normal after this pandemic, which is a global pandemic. And this pandemic has affected each one of us in a different way in our individual countries. This is undoubtedly going to affect all our economies, all our social, economic and political circumstances, and it's going to affect our businesses going forward as well. It might even change the way our domestic industry runs, or the way our customers expect us to behave and the products they expect us to offer. So we felt that to have a forum of peers of this type, we can all go away with some valuable input, which we can apply in our own businesses and in our own countries.
What I'd like to do, though, is to move on to our first question, if I may, and just to really ask how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected your businesses. You know, what are you seeing as the immediate impact on business?
In terms of the impact on our business, obviously, first of all, even just ourselves as an organization, we had to prepare. You know, for us, it's not very common, unlike Europe or the developed countries where people can work from home. We all tend to gravitate from home into the office environment because obviously we've got challenges, interactivities for equipment, for people to work from home, and also power. Don't forget, countries like Zambia, we have a load shedding schedule. So it's easier for people to work from office than to work from home. That was the first to deal with, and also to facilitate, equipment for the people to work from home. And for us in Zambia, we are on a partial lockdown, not a total lockdown, so it's a 50% shift a week. One set goes away, the other set comes in. Work still continues. The advantage we have as Madison is we had invested in technology. We're certainly better off than some of the other insurance companies in our market. But nonetheless, we've invested in technology and we're able to facilitate people from working from home. Challenges, obviously, internet providers. Yeah, I think they've been overwhelmed in the country because they never expect to go home. At times, the service is slow to get work done. But that aside, I think now we've moved on. It's now accepted position for us to go there. The issue of supply of business, again, we've noticed it's a bit slow because we are a broker-driven market. And again, not every broker is positioned well with regard to using the internet facility. But nonetheless, business is going on. And this country, people believe they can only do business by seeing you or engaging with you directly or being present. So we've seen there's still continued influx of people walking into our branches to try and transact. The other bit we've also noticed, everybody's now holding back. Data's position in our market can be a challenge. And we've seen everybody slowing down, holding back on payment. So we have to keep on fighting to ensure that premiums come in on time. Also, one positive thing we've noticed is on the motor side, accidents have sort of reduced because not everybody is on the road at the same time. So we hope that trend continues. So there's a makeup shift in terms of risk. We've seen claims holding on, especially on the motor side. Otherwise, those are some of the challenges. In terms of cost, yes. For us, there are other operational challenges that go with COVID, because other service providers are also holding back on the delivery points. But all in all, we are running.
In our company, the first thing is the stressful situations that created on the working environment. As you may know, there is no complete lockdown in our country so far. So we work as we do before, but we try to reduce some employees. We cannot arrange work from home because of the technology issue and the type of service that we are giving. People have to come to office physically and get the service, especially in the case of claim service. So the biggest challenge that we have is the working environment that it is created in the employees.
Okay, thank you. As Zufan said, in Ethiopia currently we don't have a complete lockdown, but what we have is a state of emergency and a lot of restrictions imposed by the government. For instance, in public area, you cannot be seen more than 4 people. You're not allowed to, either in office or in a restaurant or everywhere. You cannot be more than 4. Even in driving, you have to, the capacity of your vehicle should be minimized by half. If you have a vehicle with a 5-seater, all you can drive is now only 2 people. And now mask becomes mandatory whenever you are in public. And wherever you are joining, everywhere, like restaurant, offices, including our insurance offices, you are expected to clean your hands, either use sanitizers, and your temperature also being measured through the infrared testing. So I think it's been helping a little bit for easing the spread of the disease. When it comes to the business, we can say that first, as Zufan said, we are also working in skeletal forms. Not all employees are coming to office every day. Some partially who can do remotely, still working from their home. But those who must come to office still come here. And business, underwriting, walking customers are substantially minimized now. Still the business requires some face-to-face engagement. Also going down. Now we have a limited engagement with people face-to-face. Mainly now we're preparing for the upcoming renewal. But as Zufan said, claim is also increasing. Now the most challenging claim aspect is from our cross-border drivers who comes from Djibouti. I think a lot of positive cases has been reported from that area. In fact, the aggregate positive cases as up to yesterday is like 365, still substantially low, only 5 days. 116 now fully recovered. No serious casualty. I mean, nobody is in intensive care unit. So you could say that, but we are also testing not to that high as other countries probably. So the most challenging, now people have time to focus on their outstanding claims. They are really, they have time now to process their claim, and also an increasing claim is reported from cross-border drivers who coming from Djibouti. That is also a concern, both for spreading the disease as well as for increasing number of claims. Otherwise, we are working now introduction of an alternative channel to facilitate uninterrupted business. You know, you said in your opening, it's becoming the next normal. So we're preparing ourselves for the next normal, especially on renewal, both for individual and business. We are focusing on possible coverage related to the epidemic and pandemic, how it's going to like. Maybe I'm going to raise this question also. How are our reinsurers prepared to entertain, you know, it's still unclear whether pandemic losses are insurable for business interruption. Our life policies are not pandemic is not excluded in our policies, was in treaties, and but no claim reported so far. But we might expect a couple of claims. We can't be sure. So this is how it looks like now. We expect the impact of COVID-19 probably in the coming months. We are not feeling the shock right now, but we are expecting it now in the coming days and months. Thank you.
I support what my fellow participant mentioned. So we mentioned by exception, not as a rule, because most of the situations are the same. In Kenya, one of the good things that has happened in the recent past is that we have introduced digital motor certificates. You know, almost 45% of the market's business comes from motor insurance, and we have introduced digitized motor certificates, that is virtual motor certificates, whereby we will email this virtual certificate to anybody who can download and take a color print out of it, and he or she can stick it on the windshield.
So on the point that Ashok made about digital certificates, obviously there is a situation surrounding security. Whether the security is robust enough surrounding the production and printing of these certificates, because obviously it is very easy to copy and create fraud. So this is another point that can be thrown up here, that once you go down the digital route, do you have the robust cyber security protocols in place to prevent fraud?
What has happened from our end, in fact, government now has effective end of March. They've also gone digital with regard to the issuance of road tax. Yeah, so it has to be linked to the insurance company. So the insurance company will not issue road tax without insurance, and it has to be now electronic. What we've done from our end is we've got QR codes, which I think are secure enough, and the system is linked to the Road Transport and Safety Agency, and obviously government has its own way of dealing with security issues. From our end, we're issuing the insurance disc, which is digitized, and we've got QR codes, and that can be verified by way of, I don't think people can duplicate it. For us, it's also good because it's going to reduce our cost of printing whatever certificate of insurance, because now people can print from ordinary paper. So it's going to give us a huge saving.
Zufan, if I can bring you back in here, you were talking on the claims side, and I'm wondering whether digitization is actually helping with the claims side, and also I'm wondering if there's any problems at the moment in paying claims, just in terms of access to cash and ability to sort of move the money around with certain governments. I know some governments have rationed foreign exchange, for example. So I'd like, to hear a little bit more about the claims experience from both those sides, from the practical side, the practical problems that you might be facing.
Thank you, Liz. Completely, we are doing claims manually, face-to-face contact, physical inspection of properties. So we are not using any digital technology. We are doing everything manually. So that's why there is a big contact with customers. Customers are coming, customers are being served in the office.
I was going to ask you if you think that in the future that might change in terms of preparedness for the possibility of a second pandemic, which everyone is talking about, with climate change, pandemics might become more frequent. I'm just wondering whether it's something that you would look to change for the future as part of preparation.
Yes, learning stage, because this is the first thing, the first pandemic that we are experiencing. So from this, we took a lesson that we cannot continue business as usual. So we have to look for other techniques, especially we have to look for using technology, giving service remotely. So this is a lesson that we are taking from this pandemic, one of the lessons.
In fact, we have already started, as I said it earlier, we have already started to introduce some alternative channels. We have to prepare ourselves. It's obvious that for the new normal. Even now, we have a modern application systems to process a claim, but still, the process still demands some face-to-face interaction. So what we did for the time being is now we have posted all formats necessary in our webpage so that customers download and fill the forms and use social media, other mechanisms. But for now, for the next period, we are preparing. We are in the process of acquiring a digital support, which we're planning to implement in the coming 3 to 6 months, obviously. So it's inevitable. We have to prepare for that. This is the new normal, and we have to embrace it.
If I can share our experience, this is the Afro-Asian experience. Because in the UK, we have been under lockdown for now coming up to 8 to 9 weeks. And really, throughout the group, Afro-Asian group, all our offices, until very recently, even Ghana office and India, we were all working from home. Now, we had, obviously, systems in place which allowed us to work efficiently remotely, and we had the IT and security protocols in place to do that. But the biggest impact on us was the change of mindset. It's harder to change your mindset when you're working from home and to impose sense of self-discipline on yourself when you're in your home environment, effectively doing a job. And I think each one of us approached this in a different way and settled into the routine in our homes. However, I'm pleased to say that we have managed to settle in working from home environment in a very efficient way, because I have not seen any interruption in the quality of service delivery from our people to our customers. So I think for us in Afro-Asian, the next normal is going to be a mixture of the past and the positive lessons we have learned in how to use technology for the future. And I think it's the challenge for us going forward will be marrying our expectations to the expectations of our customers, because we cannot impose our wishes of the future on our customers. So there will be a period of adjustment for us as well, which will be different from one country to another.
Let me brief you the situation in Eritrea. In
Yes.
Eritrea, there is a complete lockdown. There are no vehicles moving other than those vehicles with a special permit. We have only for National Insurance Corporation of Eritrea, we have only 2 vehicles which were allowed. One is driven by me as the chief executive, and the other one is used by the staff. Out of 105 in the head office, there are only about 17 or 18 staff coming in, and 50% of them, they work up to midday, and the other, 50% also works the whole day. Now, I haven't heard a claim. I'm sure Samuel may know about this. And our premium has gone totally to almost zero because there aren't any moving. Totally it's locked down. And as you might have seen in the press, in Eritrea, we are happy that there isn't any. There were 39 people who have been shown positive, but all of them have now out of the hospital, and we are totally free. So the government is taking a very serious, extremely serious situation. And now the movement has gone to the border areas like Sudan, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. But we don't have anyone. I don't know when the complete lockdown is going to be eased. It may take some time. We're expecting it to be probably for the next 1 month or so. But anyway, when it comes to the insurance industry, luckily, we are the only insurance company in Eritrea, so we monopolize the market. And monopolizing the market means we can speak on behalf of the whole market. We are the only one. Obviously, our business has dropped very, too low because there aren't people coming and paying. Even if they want to insure their vehicles, they can't. They are not driving their vehicles. So we'll see to what extent. But I think we seem to be totally, in terms of premium, we are not getting any premium. And there aren't any claims because most of them are vehicles, motor claims, and we don't have them. So the whole factory, the whole country is in a lockdown situation. And that's why we are on a zero. Basically, we don't have any coronavirus positive in Eritrea. All of them have gone out from the hospital. So they were cured and we don't have any. So we hope we are going to continue it. And the government is taking a very serious action in terms of the boundaries which Sudan, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. Otherwise, the whole country seems to be happy in terms of the coronavirus. We have no one who has died out of the coronavirus situation, and we don't have even positive results in any part of Eritrea, which is very good. But when it comes to insurance business, what we're doing is we are only communicating with our insurers and brokers in terms of some serious renewals, big risks like mining risks and so forth. Otherwise, the normal day-to-day operation seems to be going very low.
I think the point I was trying to I'm listening to all the conversation, and I thought it might be worth sharing also from Afro-Asian perspective. We have been thinking very deeply about what the next normal is going to be. And the next normal is actually going to be this, what we are seeing just now, to a large extent. Now, where brokers are concerned, we get our business by offering our services. Because we're overseas, you are used to seeing everything from us on email and digital, but our personal visits are very, very important to us. And that is why we have embarked on this sort of a way to continue meeting our clients. So as we are visualizing our next normal, thinking about how to use technology in the best possible way without moving away from the personal touch that we always had, I was wondering, if I go back to wearing my insurer's hat, which I wore many, many years ago, I know that sitting in an insurance company, I would be thinking about how to enhance my digital offering to my clients. So it would be interesting to know. I do know that quite a few of you in your countries have started selling online, especially personal lines products. I know that in Kenya, a few companies set up a portal to sell marine insurance 2 years ago. So it would be interesting to see how that technology is being accepted by the public as well as by the companies themselves. Have they seen this sort of technology working for them?
So in Ghana, we've also been through a lockdown and we are out of it. For my company in particular, we are operating from 4 locations out of about 16. But the good thing is that prior to the lockdown, we have put in measures to even work from home because of the numbers that were recorded in Ghana. For claims, we had introduced a service that we called same-day claims for minor claims up to the equivalent of about $1,000. And there you had to physically go in with your damaged car, and then we'll do the assessment and then pay you off in the same day. Okay, so post-lockdown, or when we went into the lockdown, we were all working from home. We're processing claims as normal because we have systems. We have a tool that we call the Smart Workplace that we're able to move claims from, let's say, assessors to people that would authorize it, and then we electronically pay our claimants. So for claims, we have a system that works perfectly.
With regard to exchange controls, for us, we have no exchange controls, and the government is not, does not have any intention to bring back exchange control with regard to movement of currency between countries. Within the region, there's no indication. I haven't heard of anybody taking that route apart from what there already is existing in their jurisdictions. I doubt if it will be something that would come in now, unless there's a strain on forex. Maybe we may anticipate that. But with regard to online selling of insurance products, we've invested in that, and we've been running it for the last 3-4 years. I think the issue of culture also plays a major role for our countries. Doing anything online is always suspicious. But I think going forward, and the experience that we've had, it should be able to enhance the way we do business going forward. More and more people now will be forced to migrate to buying a service, not only insurance, but anything else online. And I think Africa is already increasing to that. The banking sector is working well. Payment of services, I think, started that one. For us, the government is now pushing to e-payment, e-commerce on a number of issues. Again, they want to also control income so that it reaches the correct account. It's not abused along the line. So I think it's going to change. Lots of lessons. I think what we are discovering is that we are probably a lot more than we need, because we are seeing that there are a lot of things that we can do. Fortunately for us, a lot of the significant part of our business, the motor business, had already moved online. So our cover notes for regulatory purposes and linked to the registration department. So a lot of that happens online already. We have electronic cover notes. So when you go through a roadblock, it's very easy to find out if you are insured or not, and you need the insurance to license. So that has gone very, very smoothly. And payment platforms, we have a lot of payment platforms, including one of the, I think, better used mobile payment platforms. Most of it out of necessity, really, because we had currency challenges in terms of actual physical notes. So that has not been a challenge per se. I think I would say for us, I think those are the major issues for us on the ground.
but certainly a lot of the other classes of insurance that are not compulsory, we are seeing them really taking a dip or suffering as it may, because the underlying businesses themselves are under a lot of strain and there's very little government support for our clients.
So I lost you a bit. I think it was the connection, Liz, but if I heard you right, you were asking about my experience and what country is ready for the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, have you learned lessons through this experience for the future?
Okay.
Will it change anything that you do?
Okay, yes, absolutely. I think like Ernestina said, we had protocols already in place for already in place for business continuity. So depending on the number of cases we were getting, those protocols were just triggering. And so we had put in place structures to be able to work from home even before the lockdown happened. However, the experiences were that, of course, you couldn't get the level of efficiency in terms of turnaround for customers with regards to the back end when it comes to claims. We were still able to pay claims whilst we were on lockdown, and we're still doing a lot of that even though the lockdown has been lifted. But you realize that some of the service levels we have with customers were not being met, in terms of sometimes you make an online payment, you get a response that is being paid, and then a week down the line, the bank comes to say, oh, it didn't go through, you have to redo it again. And so that impacts your service levels to your customers. So I think in terms of back end, we were okay. The challenge has been selling. So we as a country, I think someone said, culturally, we are not so used to buying, especially insurance, online. And so people would like to have that face-to-face interaction goodbye. And with the current pandemic, face-to-face is also quite not the way to go. So we've seen a dip in our sales, especially with retail in that space. In terms of the commercial customers, it's been a bit easier because you can have Zoom meetings, you can discuss the policies before you do the renewal.
Zeru, can I bring you in at this point? Because I know you wanted to comment on this.
I just want to raise and share some experience in respect of some class of business, because to the best of my knowledge, there are only 3 classes of business that we should be worried about. One is the travel insurance, number 2 is the life insurance, and the third one is the BI, which is the business interruption one. Especially, let's share the experience of the other participants on how in their market is being handled or what the regulators are having in terms of BI, because BI is becoming the complicated issue on whether insurers have to pay arising out of the pandemics that we have, or is it arising out of some physical damage that is happening. So there are some issues. I have read a number of articles from South Africa and India as well. And the regulators are actually taking a step whereby insurance companies should never pay claims arising out of the pandemics that we have now on COVID-19, just because of the COVID-19, unless there is a damage which is covered under the normal coverage that we do. So let's hear some experience, because we are running out of time, and it may be helpful for all of us to concentrate on these 3 classes of business: travel insurance, life, and BI.
Zeru, can I ask you very, very briefly, in Eritrea, what is the view on business insurance? Are you paying those claims or are you not?
We don't have a claim has not arisen out of this class of business that I just mentioned now. And we have only, on BI, we have only a few companies that are insured on BI. Okay. But we have life insurance, and we have also a travel insurance that we are involved in. But I haven't seen a claim up to now. And I just want to know the experience of the others on whether this is a normal coverage that we have to follow.
Yared, have you had any business interruption claims?
No, not now. For travel insurance, our reinsurer exclusively expressed that it's not covered. So we also, but for life, it's been covered, and we continue giving a coverage because it's not excluded in our treaty as well as in our policy terms and conditions. BI, we have few customers. Only one is with extension to cover pandemic, but still no claim raised due to that. So we don't have any claim.
Have you seen any have you seen any COVID-related claims, and have any of those been BI specifically, or not yet?
No, not at all. The important, I know the regulator did do a circular to the industry, just to indicate that people are flexible in meeting claims, and for us, and especially where premiums are not paid, etc. That's the only thing I saw. But with regard to claims on the side, I've seen our colleagues indicating that they'll meet the obligations if it's COVID related because it's not excluded. That's the only market people are talking about that. On the business interruption side, there's been debate on the insurance forum. And obviously, people are just debating the fact that there's no material damage. Why should we pay BI? But those who may have taken up extensions BI for the hospitality industry because of what is a pandemic. But for us, the Ministry of Health Act specifies exactly what they refer to as pandemic, and COVID is not one of those. So I don't know whether it will even be possible to.
No COVID-related claims now, not under travel, but we had one client putting in a claim for business interruption, but we wrote back and said that pandemics are excluded. So that's been our experience from Enterprise.
Mabel, what's your experience been?
No, yeah, because none of our policies has an extension for pandemic. So at least nobody has put in a claim, and we hope they don't. But it's pretty much an exclusion. And I don't, in Ghana, I think that because the impact of the pandemic is not as, in terms of the death rate and everything, we probably are yet to see what would happen. The good thing is also that the government took a life cover for all frontline workers for the pandemic. So I think if anything, it's probably the life side that will see some claims coming through from the epidemic. But for now, on the general side, I don't think will be that much hit unless the regulator, which we hope he doesn't, steps in to say we should pay some claims.
Can I just say something very quickly to answer Zeru? His question about business interruption claims, we did have one interesting conversation with a previous client who says that although business interruption has to be as a result of physical damage, he said some of his clients were looking at the clauses in their policy that referred to the fact that business had to be closed due to government orders or government instruction. And they were trying to use that as the loophole to bring in the BI claims.
David, if I can just turn to you, just as the last comment of the morning, if you wouldn't mind. We are running over now, but David, I wonder from your perspective, what are you seeing in your market?
Thank you very much, Liz. We haven't really received any claims as it were. But we have been asked by the regulator to give an industry position. In Zimbabwe, we have standard market wordings that, so in terms of that, we have made it very clear that no claims would be admissible under that. But we are aware that we have colleagues who have some policies that have extensions that would potentially cover that. But I must also hasten to say that we are on lockdown at the moment. And some clients may well yet lodge their claims, because in terms of the agreement with the regulator, there is that understanding that if clients cannot lodge their claims because we are on lockdown, when they do lodge them, we cannot dismiss them on the basis of late notification. So the claims could well yet come, but at the moment we have not yet received any. Yes, there are a lot of lessons to be learned from a Zimbabwean perspective. I think from a regulatory perspective, we do have a bit of support. She being someone who was in the industry for a long time. So yes, they have tried to support us. We have been engaging in terms of what we can do, and also making, because I think that in Zimbabwe, the default for government is to think that the insurance companies are very rich. So you'd find that the measures that they would want to put, for example, on our pension side, they have been affected because there's been a rent moratorium for people to delay paying rentals. So we've had to explain how that impacts the income of pension funds and how it may end up affecting the pensioners. But yes, in short, we have had support in terms of trying to push back some of those things that needed to be put through. But I think, as everyone would understand, Zimbabwe was already having significant challenges even before this. So from a government perspective, there is very little that they are able to do to try and support us.
One point that I'm very interested in hearing opinions on is basically our participants, if they have had, because of the pandemic, any assistance from their regulators, from the government and their financial institutions to help them in their businesses. And specifically, and this is something I wasn't expecting on this forum, we have a representative from the regulatory office in Eritrea, which I believe, Zeru, you mentioned. It would be very good to get the regulators' perspective as to how they see companies should behave in their market on claims following the pandemic, because there is definitely a lot of controversy at this side of the water on whether business interruption claims should be paid, irrespective of whether there is material damage or not. There are, in our meeting forum that we had with reinsurers last time, one of them said that they are getting pressure from their regulator to settle claims irrespective of whether it's payable or not. And their response was, be very careful in pushing that, because you may end up with a company full of insolvent insurance companies. So I would be interested to hear some feedback on that in the 10 minutes or so we have left.
Yes, we have, but not around what claims we should pay or not pay. It's more been around how are you as industry players planning during this pandemic. They wanted us to submit what our plans are, which we did during the lockdown. And also, they've just recently sent us some questionnaires to ask about how are we being impacted. And they also asked us for what our BCP plans are, and they wanted to see every company's BCP plan. So in terms of, in the areas of preparedness and having structures in place to be able to keep the companies going, they've been pretty much involved in wanting to know what's happening with every company, but not around what claims we should pay, especially around VI.
One of the things that I was hearing from people in the industry last week was that actually some of the regulators are asking for so much information that it's actually causing a work overload for some of the operators in the market, given that everybody is at home. So I would actually like to bring in Asuk, if we could, at this point, because I understand that the Kenyan government or the Kenyan regulator has been one that has been really putting pressure on companies to settle claims. And I hear the Association of Kenyan Insurers is sort of prepping a response to that. But I wonder what your experience at the moment is, Asuk.
Yeah, earlier I was about to mention the regulators' response, but somehow because of the technology issue, I could not make it. You see, during the first few days, there was a video conference between the regulator on the one hand and entire companies on the other hand. That was a very good conversation we had with the regulator. So the regulator first heard us the players in the market, including reinsurers, what they are foreseeing in the coming days. And we narrated the challenges lying ahead of us. It was during the first week of this COVID, in March, when the curfew was announced. And we were told that insurance being categorized as an essential service, we should not get constrained by few rules and restrictions. Now, thereafter, there was some misinformation, in the market so far as the regulator's instruction to settle claims is concerned, but it was clarified to the regulator, and regulator also clarified that generally the claims will be settled as per the terms and conditions of respective policies.
Thank you very much for our participants joining us today. We've achieved, I believe, in the most part, the objective we had of this forum, and that is to bring people together from insurance companies from different parts of Africa and get a flavor of your current experiences as a result of this pandemic, which I believe we have shared, and also getting feedback of how you are continuing to do your business in your daily lives, despite the pandemic and the challenges of the pandemic. It is a moving curve. I think all our experiences will change going forward. And I don't think personally that we are at a stage where we can set the parameters of what the next normal of business in our local environment is going to be. I would probably suggest that we should regroup, if possible, in the next, say, probably after 12 months, when there is a little more certainty about this pandemic and the treatment of this virus, to see exactly how we're all going to come out of this experience curve and how we're going to apply it in our businesses. However, the challenges that we do have is that all parties, whether it be our staff, our colleagues and directors, our customers, our regulators, our financial institutions, or our governments, all of us, I think, have to work together for the good of the industry that we are in, and that is insurance.